Good evening, friends. So today's topic basically is get ready to sell, be prepared. So when the alumni sale team spoke with me about selecting any topic, and I thought that uh, there is certainly some disconnect happening between academia and industry. And I thought that I should share my knowledge, whatever experience I have received in the industry, which will help you to be prepared, to be ready when you get out of the college and get into industry. So whenever we start or get ready to sell, basically what we do. So whenever we are thinking to sell, we first think what should be my destination. So when I say destination, I'll just give an example. I need to, or I think that I should climb up Everest, and that's my destination. And that the journey to climb and achieve the summit for Everest will start from there with the thought. And for that, what should be the preparation? So what should I do? So that is very important. So for preparation, for example, I will start improving on my fitness. I will start building skills to climb a difficult different kind of terrains. I will improve on the skills by climbing small hills or climbing Sahyadri range or Kanchenjunga to be ready to achieve my goal or the result which I wanted from this my journey. And friends, why this preparation is important? If we don't prepare, then the result will not be satisfactory. The journey will not be satisfactory. And if you want to have very outstanding experience, enjoyable experience, and memorable experience, preparation is very important. It is always said, failing to prepare, that means you are preparing to fail. And that's what I thought that I should take you through my journey so that you will gain something for your journey. So I'll quickly move to the next slide. So when I was talking about selling, I'm not at all talking about selling. I'm actually talking about selling. So friends, we all are sellable. So whatever juncture you are in, you are engineer or you are doing engineering, you are appearing for campus interviews, you are in the industry, 2 years old in the industry, 5 years old in the industry, or 10 years, or you are at the end of the end of the career, still you are sellable. So it's very important to remain sellable in the industry so that so that you are not outdated from the market. And as I said, now I will be sharing my experiences, how to remain sellable, how to be prepared all the times, and what are the essentials to be sellable in the market all the times. So first and foremost essential I would like to tell you is set goal. So whatever you are doing or whatever you want to do, first of all, you have to set the goal. Stephen Covey said in his one of the 7 habits, begin with the end in the mind. So what does it mean? So unless and until you don't visualize your end, if you don't visualize uh, your result, you are not visioning where do you want to reach. I think your all actions will be fertile, those will not be relevant, and you will be spending time on wrong things where you will not be able to achieve anything. So setting goal is very important for anyone's career. So how to set goal? I'm not going to tell you lot many technical things. These are going to be very simple things which anyone can do. I also did when I started my journey. So while setting goal, you have to first think about the long-term goal. So what does it mean? What is long-term goal? So I just shared some of the examples. I want to be CEO, or I want to be CFO, I want to be CIO or Chief Technical Officer by 2033. That's what my long-term goal. I want to be technical head or I want to be design head by this time. That's my long-term goal. I want to be businessman by this year. I want to be industrialist by this year. I want to achieve excellence. So this can be also one of the long-term goals. So when you are setting a long-term goal, what is that you have to do? To reach your long-term goal, you should have, you should always have short-term goals. So please understand, friends, I said long-term goal and short-term goals. So whatever long-term goal you decide, you have to have short-term goals to reach to your long-term goal. For example, the first statement which I have mentioned here, I want to be CEO by 2023. So to reach my long-term goal by 2023, what are the short-term goals I should achieve time to time basis? So first thing is that I will complete, first of all, we have to complete the engineering, our graduation. That's the foremost thing. After that, what I will do, I will complete MBA from premium school by 2023. So what is that I will do next, or what is that I will be doing simultaneously? I will work on these skills. I will identify the skills basically to reach out to my goal. So I will start working on the goals, and by 2025, for example, I will develop this kind of skills, and the journey will not stop there for skill development. I'll be further working on more skills to achieve my goal. Third step, what I will do, I will enter into esteem organization by this time, 2023. So that what I will do, getting into the organization, I will gain that kind of experience, whatever I want to reach my goal of being a CEO of the organization by 2023. I will work in various functions. I will lead functions, I will lead team, I will take experience on floor, on shop floor, I will take experience of corporate world, I will take experience of various functions. And then this will help me to reach my goal to become CEO. So friends, if you see the timeline I just mentioned here, I will complete my MBA by 2023 and I will become CEO by 2023, 2033. So it looks like it is only 10 years. Within 10 years, I will achieve my goal. So some, maybe you must be thinking that this kind of goal is very unrealistic. But friends, this is not at all unrealistic goal. I will share my experience from my previous organization. I joined British Oxygen Company in 2003, and when I joined the organization, we had an induction program, and in the induction program, I had opportunity to meet our managing director, Mr. Sanju Lamba. And when I saw the managing director, he was so young. He was, I think, hardly 35 or 34 years old uh, when we met him in the induction program. And then he shared his experience, how he became managing director of the company, British Oxygen, or British Oxygen Company basically. In 10 years, he is CA and he joined organization. He had joined organization around 10 years ago as an intern. So after that, he he looked at around when he joined the organization, what kind of things are happening around, what are his capabilities, what are his abilities, what are the skill sets he has, what is the competition he has around, and how can he uh, add a value to the organization, and how can he rise to the highest level in India. And then he took all those steps, all those conscious steps, he took all those conscious actions to reach to become CEO or managing director of the organization. So friends, it is achievable. I have seen myself, the person who became CEO of the organization from intern in 10 years ago, within 10 years. And now if you look at his profile, he is global CEO of Linde International. So he is heading the organization uh, whose span is more than 100 plus countries. Another 10 or 12 years, he achieved that goal. So that's how, if you set a long-term goal and you take those all conscious steps by setting short-term goals, you can achieve whatever you want to be. But first and foremost thing, after setting goal and long-term goal and short-term goals, you will have to always retrospect the actions which you are taking. When I say retrospect, you will have to assess what are the actions you are taking. That means what are the actions you are taking? Shall I keep doing those actions, or shall I shall I stop? Shall I do more, or shall I start doing something more to achieve my goal? So during this retrospection or during this journey, you may find that your plan A is not working. So if your plan A is not working, you should not change your goal. You should change your plan. That means you should have plan B, plan C to achieve your long-term goal. So it's very, very important. If you have long-term set goal, you should not change your goal. You can change your plan to achieve the goal. So it is very, very important. The kind of experience I have shared, I think I learned from that experience which was shared by our managing director Sanjay Lamba that time, and then I took a lot of learnings from that experience. I always used to look at him whenever I used to get opportunity to interact with him in conferences or even some of the meetings. So that's how, friends, you have to learn when you are into industry. And to conclude on this particular essential setting goal, you have to always think big. So thinking big will only lead you to achieve big. If you don't think big, you will achieve less. That's how you have to think big all the times. So this was the first essential which I learned throughout my journey. What is the second essential? Second essential is build competency. So when I talk about competency, it is all about what is that you have in you. So when I say what is that you have in you, that means your academics. Academics, or the base on academics, is one of the basic or one of the foundations to achieve whatever you want. So you have to have solid academics. Right now you are doing engineering or other graduation, but after that also you have to look at around. I will also come on that particular point when I'm saying look at around. So how to build on your academics, how to solidify your foundation. So that is the foremost thing, you have to work on it. Then you have to also enhance the skills. When we talk about skill enhancement, you must have heard all the time soft skill, hard skills, you have to improve on uh, technical skills, so many things. But if I want to categorize all those skills basically in three categories, first and foremost is self-management. That means it is personality, it is my trait, how people perceive me. That means if people talk about me or think about me, they will think Rahul is punctual, Rahul is reliable, Rahul is sincere, Rahul is passionate, Rahul is enthusiastic, Rahul is this, Rahul is that. So that's what my personality, that is my basically self-management. How do I conduct myself? And that's how I have to build on those skills time and again, all the times. So if I am sincere, that is not going to help. I have to learn something more. I have to be accurate. Maybe I am into analytics kind of field, or I'm into data analytics. I have to be accurate. So that's how I have to enhance my self-management skill. And friends, this self-management skill is not at all transferable. That means if I am punctual, I cannot transfer my punctuality to you. You have to build it yourself by observing others or experiencing yourself. That's how it builds your own personality with this kind of skill. Second thing is special knowledge. So when I say special knowledge, it is all about the specificity on gaining the knowledge. For example, you can have certification on data analytics. You can have certification in supply chain management. You can have certain certifications on HR. You can have certain certification on financial management. So that is the special knowledge you will be having, and you will have to gain this knowledge again time to time basis, continuous basis. And third thing about the skill enhancement is basically transferable knowledge. So which is all about your functional knowledge. So this functional knowledge you can gain when you are in the industry, when you are into in some of the function, like I am into supply chain management, someone will be in HR, someone will be in other functions. So those kind of knowledge which you will be gaining would be transferable. For example, just one example I would like to share so that you can correlate. I am into supply chain, and in supply chain management, you know that for procuring any of the product, you have to create the purchase order. You have to raise the purchase order on the vendor. So creating purchase order is one of the functional knowledge, and this functional knowledge I can pass it on to anyone within the function by giving training, by coaching, by budding, and that's how this is the transferable knowledge. But when I said self-management, personality trait, conducting yourself is not at all a transferable kind of skill that you have to build yourself. And third thing, to build on competency is basically experience. Whatever experience you are gaining in your college days, in your professional life, in your personal life, it's very, very important. And that helps you to build competency. So whatever experience you are gaining, you have to learn, and you have to start applying it. Unless and until you learn from your experiences, maybe there is failure, maybe there is a success, you have to learn and then start applying it for your next things. Then only you will be building the competency. So when I am talking about building competency on these three aspects, academic, skill enhancement, or experience, it is not going to help you thoroughly. The important thing or very crucial thing is know your customer. No friends. I'm not talking about know your customer. Whenever you go to bank or any site, financial site, basically, they ask for KYC, know your customer. I am not talking about know your customer. I am talking about know your competition. So it is very, very important to know your competition, whatever actions you are taking or you are going to take in terms of building on your academics, building on your skills, or even gaining the experience. Unless and until you don't know your competition, you will not be either ahead of the competition or remain in the competition. So it is very, very important thing to know your competition. I would like to share two examples of mine, what I have experienced. When I was in Reliance around 6 years ago, uh, that time I was heading one of the sub functions in supply chain, and I was very happy that time. And there was no such big competition around me, and I was very much enjoying the job which I was doing, and I was becoming a bit complacent. And that time I thought, what is next? How can I go ahead of the competition? What should I do for myself so that I am ahead of the competition? And then I found one of the one of the excellent courses in supply chain, CPSM, Certified Professional in Supply Management, which is offered by Institute of Supply Management from USA. And I appeared for that particular course, and then I passed with excellent marks, and so forth. I got the certification. But after that, lot many avenues were open for me. Till the time I was working in Reliance, I was only worked in the domestic market. When I say domestic, I was only working in Indian market. I was only working in Indian uh, domestic domain basically. But once I did this international certification, huge opportunities were open for me, huge avenues were open for me, and this is one of the certification which helped me to gain or grab job in Orange Business Services, where now I am managing international supply chain. It's a big domain, but but that only certification helped me to keep ahead of the competition. Second example I would like to share to remain in the competition. In Orange Business Services, around 3 years ago, yes, 2017, we launched a program for supply chain, which was about digital transformation of supply chain. And I was also part of some of the projects of that big project of digital transformation. I was project manager for almost 20 deliverables, and that was the first time I was working on one of the big projects like digital transformation. And that time I started interacting with some of the senior project managers within the organizations. Those were from IT, those were from our PMO team, that means project management office. And when I started interacting with them for all those projects from digital transformation, from supply chain, I found that whatever language they are talking about project management, whatever points or whatever actions they are talking about project management, I was not correlating. I was not able to understand. I was lagging behind. And that was the time, striking time, I thought that I should do something in project management. And I took very immediate quick action to do certification in project management. I did my PMP, Project Management Professional Certification, around 3 years ago now, 2017. And after that certification, I was able to correlate everything what those project managers were talking, and I was not behind the competition. I was in the competition. I remained in the competition by taking that one conscious step. So friends, all the times when wherever you are in your juncture in the professional life, you have you should know your competition and you should take all those conscious steps to to be ahead of the competition or to remain in the competition. It's very, very important, friends. Okay. And taking all these steps like academic skill enhancement, experience, knowing your competition will help you to be relevant in the market all the times. When I say relevant, that means you should not be outdated from the market. I still recall and recollect one of the advice from one of my heads from BOC. At one point of time, again after 3 years, I was happy doing job, and whatever I was doing, I was enjoying. But my head said, Rahul, if you want to grow further, you want to achieve something, you should be relevant. You should not be outdated in the market. And he was sensing that I was not doing something that time, and he clearly told me that, Rahul, you do something so that you will not be outdated in the market. So friends, it is very, very important to remain in the competition, to be relevant into the market. You have to upskill yourself, you have to build on your competencies time to time basis, whatever at whatever level you are. So you should not shy away to build on competencies. Okay, so with this, I will now move to the third very, very important essential, communication. So when I say communication, it is all about written or verbal communication in any kind of mode. Maybe it is virtual, maybe it is one-to-one, maybe it is physical, whatever it is. So you have to sharpen your skills on communications all the times. It is very, very important. So again, before moving ahead, I will share my example, my experience. When I passed out my engineering in 1997, I joined a very small engineering firm. That time there was a recession, and people, means we all students were struggling to get jobs, and I got an opportunity to work in one of the small engineering firms. Now it is big for engineering firm. That time it was small, and that time I joined in quality control. And I was very introvert, I was very shy, I never used to speak with anybody, and I was very happy again whatever I was doing. So I was in shell basically. And what happened on one Friday, uh, the director of the company called me. I thought, what has happened? He called me, and then when I entered into his cabin, I understood that our shop floor manager was not there, and our dispatch manager was also not there. And then my director asked me to call a transporter to place a vehicle to dispatch something to one of the clients. And then I picked up the phone and called the transporter, and then whatever conversation I wanted to have, I did, and then I kept the phone back. Immediately after that call, my director did not ask me whether that vehicle is coming, what time it is coming. He said, I want to share one feedback with you, Rahul, that if you speak with this anyone in your professional life in this way, maybe you are very modest, but if you speak in this way, the way you just spoke, I think you were not at all convincing. You were not at all demanding. You were not at all firm. And I could see a lack of confidence in you while speaking to even transporter who is our vendor. And he told me, Rahul, if you don't work on this particular aspect, whatever technical knowledge you have, maybe you are topper or whatever you are there with all kind of technical knowledge, you will not be able to survive, you will not be able to grow. And that was one of the lesson learned for me when I entered into professional world. That was the first lesson I learned, I would say, my friends. And why this communication is important. So based on my experience, I would like to tell you, when we talk about communication, it is not at all about presenting to someone or uh, or basically conversing to someone. It's not all about that. Whenever you are into industry, maybe you are into production, you are into quality, or you are into any kind of function like supply chain, you have to communicate, you have to converse, you have to discuss, you have to convince, you have to negotiate with many people. When you are into industry, you have to work with people, though you will be working with machines, but ultimately you have to work with the people. And when you work with the people, you should have all those kind of communication skills. You have to have convincing abilities. You have to have uh, you have to be very fluent in the communication. You have to be very, your communication with your communication you should be able to negotiate. When I say negotiate, it is not at all about negotiating with vendors. When I'm talking about negotiation, it is all about discussing, conferring, and deliberating with the people. When I say negotiation, I have to also negotiate with my boss for increasing my salary. I have to negotiate with my boss for for promotion. I have to convince or I have to negotiate with my peers or with my other functions with whom I are working to, to, to sell my project, to sell my business case. And that's how communication is very, very important. And you have to start at right time, and that right time is now. If you are not taking any steps, I would suggest today is the day you have to start building on communication. It's very, very important. And these are the aspects what you should do or what you can do to improve on communication. So as I just said, never ever hesitate to converse. And when I say never ever hesitate to converse, most of the times we hesitate. And friends, the success is not in the results, I would say. The success is in start. Unless and until you don't start, or unless and until you don't take those steps to start anything, you will not be able to achieve. You will not be able to achieve that result. And that's how on communication part, never ever hesitate to converse. We know that we always hesitate, but that is not going to help you out. You will always think, no, I wanted to say that thing, but I could not speak. But at that moment, someone spoke, and then he took over the show from you, though you had good knowledge than the other person. That's how. Never ever hesitate to converse. Second part of the sharpening your communication, the action I would say, read good. When I say read good, it's literally read good. I will just share one example from one of the interviews I had taken recently for one of the campuses. The candidate was not good at all. The candidate was knowledgeable, but the candidate was not at all good in the communication. And from my side, I am not that kind of interviewer. After interview, if I don't select, I don't speak with the candidate. Whenever I see that I'm not going to select the candidate, I immediately have short feedback session with the candidate, telling him or her what went wrong or what needs to be improved. And from that particular interview, I asked that particular girl, what is that you are doing to improve our communication? Because I see that you are lagging, though you are knowledgeable, you have good technical knowledge, but what is that you are doing to improve on your communication? Then she said, I go on Instagram and then see some of the posts, I read some of the posts, I chat with my friends on WhatsApp. Friends, this is not at all good read, or this is not at all good action which you are taking, or conscious step which you are taking to improve on your communication. When I say read good, it's literally read good. Select books, identify or find out the biographies of big people or who have achieved big big things in their life, and then start reading. You will learn what are those steps they have taken to achieve, and from there you will also improve on your communication. Second thing, listen good. When I say listen good, lot of things happens around us, and we tend to listen to only things which are making noise. But friends, it is not at all good to listen to the noise. You have to find out find out the things or stuff where you will be listening only good. There are so many, maybe it is not right example, but I also learned from this aspect. Find some of the good movies, English movies, for example, which will help you to which will help you to improve on your communication. Listening, by listening the conversation, you will help improving on your communication. You will build your own style. You will not certainly imitating anyone, but you will have your own style of communication. So these are the two things I would like to tell you that you should start working on it. Third or fourth thing is basically participate. Wherever there is a opportunity, maybe group discussion, debate, or even simple communication with your professor or simple communication with your friend, participate. Don't hesitate in participation. Fifth thing is basically mindful. You have to be always thoughtful when you are conversing. Your mind should be always there when you are going to say something. That will help you to make your communication conversation very very impactful. Then try to be storyteller. So unless and until you are not a good storyteller, you will not be able to sell whatever you want to sell. You want to sell your project, you want to sell your business case, you want to sell your idea. Unless and until you are not good storyteller, you will not be able to sell your idea. So you have to be very good storyteller, I would say. Then work on your body language. So body language is also one of the important aspect of communication. So you have to build on it continuously. And the last point, which is very important on all these aspects, you have to sharpen on your communication skills all the times. Even after 20 years of experience in the industry, I am working on it day in, day out. I also look for opportunities. How can I improve my communication skill? How can I take all those conscious steps to rise my bar from this level to next level in terms of communication? And that's how, friends, you have to take all those conscious steps all the times. I would like to just share two things, two tips, I would say. Purchase this book. It is available online. There is application, free application available, Word Power Made Easy. This book will help you to improve on your vocabulary. So when you improve on your vocabulary, improve on your grammar, basically, which we learned in our school days, but this book will help you to improve on your vocabulary. And when you improve on your vocabulary, you will improve on your thought process. You will start thinking logically. You will start putting your points very firmly, convincingly, with the improvement on your vocabulary. That's the one thing. I did it long back when I started my journey. Second thing, Toastmasters. So when I'm talking about Toastmasters, this is the club, international club, friends, which help to improve this club helps basically and supports to improve on your communication skill and to improve on your leadership qualities. So this club is available everywhere across India, across globe. Nowadays, this club is running basically on virtual mode. So find out this club, go on Google, search for Toastmasters website, and there you will find the club near you. Join it. You can join this club at free of cost as a guest, and from there you will learn to improve on communication. You will start participating. You will come out of that fear. So these are the two things I would like to share with you. You can take these conscious steps basically on this word power Medici. There is application available on mobile store basically, and this Toastmasters. Please go and try to look at it, and then not look at it, but start also implementing. Unless until you don't apply, you will not be able to gain. So it is very important, friends. And as I said at the beginning, this is very important aspect, but communication is one of the key success factor whenever you are working in any of the fields, be you are a businessman, be you are industrialist, be you are into academics, be you are into corporate world. Communication plays very important role in your success. So please take all those conscious steps, friends, to improve on communication. Now I'll move on to the next important essential is basically attitude. Again, when I am talking about attitude, I would like to share my example, which I experienced myself when I joined Orange. Sorry, not Orange, Reliance Communications. When I joined Reliance Communications, that time I just joined as a manager, operations and maintenance, logistics. That was one of the small function in whole supply chain, end-to-end supply chain, where there were almost 150 people working, almost 15 vice presidents, one president, and so on and so forth. So you can just imagine the hierarchy there. And I was just mere manager managing operations and maintenance logistics. When I joined after 6 or 7 months, or I would say around 9 months, there was an opportunity that came basically to prepare budget for whole function. There was one person who was tenured person who was working on the budget preparation for whole function. He left the organization, and after that my boss came to my senior. uh, we both were in same sub function basically, and he approached my senior who was actually CA and asked him that, will you be ready to take this additional activity to prepare a budget for our whole function? Friends, he was senior to me, almost 4 or 5 years more experience than me, and he was CA. That means his academic knowledge and his experience was much relevant to work on budget for supply chain. When I say budget for supply chain, it was more than 100 crores of the budget for whole function, for managing warehousing, for managing transportation, for managing import export, managing material handling kind of equipments, or managing resources or force across India for almost 55 plus warehouses pan India. But that person said, sir, I am not ready to take this role. Are you going to give something to me if I take role? Am I going to get more salary? Am I going to get promotion? And again, though if I am going to get all these things, I am not ready to take this role because this role is bringing a lot of pressure on me. This role is going to maybe make my life hell because I have to work with very senior people. They will be putting a lot of pressure on me and I am not ready. I'm not going to take this role. Then my boss approached me. I was just 9 or 8 months old in the organization, and he asked me, "Rahul, will you be able to take this kind of role with your additional work? I know that you have some bandwidth available to work anything, but I think that you should take this kind of role. It will help you." I said, "Sir, let me think before taking this role a day or so." And I thought, not for even next day, I thought same day, what this kind of role is going to give me. That role was able to give me, that's what I thought, that I'll be understanding whole supply chain, how it works, because I'll be managing or I will preparing whole budget for the function. I'll be understanding transportation, I'll be understanding warehousing, I'll be understanding resources, I'll be understanding material handling equipment, how what kind of budget uh, we are managing for this kind of aspects while managing whole end-to-end supply chain. Then I also thought that this particular role or this particular initial basically aspect will also help me to work with management, where I'll be working with my overall HOD. I'll be working with budget head of the organization. And from this, I will learn something, I will gain something. Maybe I'll fail, but with that failure also, I am not going to lose anything. I will learn something, I will gain something, and that will only help me in my long term career. And friends, I prepared that budget for 2 years. I got to know everything about function. Then third year, I started controlling the budget. That means I was the controller of budget. And that third year only helped me to become head of one of the sub functions. So why I am sharing this example, only one thing that I did, how do you think at that moment when that opportunity came to me, I just thought positively from long-term perspective, what is that opportunity is bringing for me in long-term perspective. And friends, within 3 years, I became head of one of the sub functions. So that is means that's basically attitude. How do you think is basically an attitude, and attitude is a small thing that makes a big difference in your life. And that means that one thing, when I thought, when I joined Reliance and then I got an opportunity after 9 months or so. So that small thing, that thought process only made a lot big difference for me as a professional and as a person. So when we talk about attitude, we always know that there is only positive attitude or there is only negative attitude. But friends, there are four types of attitude. First, we know negative attitude. So in this attitude, everything is no for the person. He always thinks negativity everywhere. The kind of example I shared. So that kind of attitude is basically negative. Second attitude is neutral. So this kind of attitude we never think. When I say neutral, that means these kind of people never have hope on the things which are happening around them. So if someone is growing, they are least bothered. If someone is failing, they are least bothered. If something good happening around them, they are least bothered. They are very complacent. They are very happy in themselves. They are neutral to the situation. And it is not at all good attitude, because this kind of attitude is not going to bring any kind of opportunity, growth opportunity for yourself. So neutral is also one of the attitude. And third attitude is basically sicken. Sicken is the attitude, is basically negative attitude, but this attitude is basically destructive. This kind of attitude destroys everything for you. And friends, we should always say no to all these three kind of attitudes. Even neutral attitude, as I said, is not at all good. So you have to be always positive with your attitude. When I say positive, it brings happiness, it brings confidence, it brings sincerity, and you become very, very determined. So one example which I shared with you of mine, friends, I always have this kind of attitude throughout my career. There were lot many negativities around me. There were some peers, there were some colleagues. Whenever I used to take some new role, they used to tell me, Rahul, why are you taking this role? Your salary is not increasing. You are not getting any promotion. There is no point in taking this role. But friends, only this positive attitude of gaining something all the times only help gaining lot many things in my professional career, and this positive attitude helped me to build on my other essential, building my competency, which we discussed on previous slides. And that's what you have to do, friends, all the times. I'm just sharing these three books here on the slide. Who Moved My Cheese, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, and Straight from the Gut, which is biography of Jack Welch. These three books made a huge difference in my life. It helped me to change my attitude. I always used to be positive in my with my attitude, but these books helped me to make vast and drastic difference the way I used to think around 20 years ago or 15 years ago. And still I keep on reading this book at any moment of time. If I feel low, if I feel something is not going in right direction, I pick up these any of these three books and I read anything from pick up any page and then read anything. So just wanted to share with you my experience basically, that these three books made a huge difference in my personal as well as professional life. Okay, so I will move to the last essential, building confidence in yourself. So how to build confidence? So you should not do anything different what we just discussed on previous slide. Setting your goals, building your competency, sharpening the communication, and always have positive attitude. These four things, if you practice and practice all the times, will help you to build your confidence. You will never feel low. You will be always confident. Whatever things you are going to do, whatever things which are coming in your life, maybe you are uncertain, you don't know, you are at confusing state, maybe at the beginning of any of the project or any new opportunity which you are getting, but you will always have that confidence, always have confidence if you apply all these essentials throughout your career. And friends, each one you are is unique. I am also unique. When I am setting goal for myself, when I am building competency for myself, when I am sharpening the communication, when I am going to have positive attitude, it is going to be unique for myself. And that's how, friends, you have to believe in yourself and move on all the times. You should not be stagnant, or you should not be staying at one level or one place or at one state. You should keep on moving by working on all these essentials, which I learned and I thought that I should share with all of you. So with this, I will take a pause for a few seconds, because after this, I am going to share something about supply chain. Okay. So Pratik or Prasad sir, are we on time? I just wanted to check with you.
Yes, sir, yes.
Yes, sir. We can take a pause and we can go for planning.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'll now quickly move to supply chain aspect of the business. So friends, I am not going to tell you anything technical, or I'm not going to tell you any nitty-gritties of the supply chain. I am going to take you through what is supply chain. It is all about overview of supply chain, and it is all about orientation of supply chain, so that you should know what is supply chain. If you Means I'm taking so many interviews in the campuses, and I generally ask, do you know supply chain? Do you know data analytics? And most of the times I see the students are clueless. They don't know what is supply chain. They have even never heard about this function. So I thought that I also should take you through overview of supply chain. So you should have some kind of orientation of supply chain. So when I talk about supply chain, about management of net the chain. So when I say network of assets, what I will do, I'll quickly take you through how supply chain works. And then from there, you will come to know what is the management of network of assets. So generally, talks about supply chain, they start talking about they start talking about supply chain right from vendor management. But here I will talk about supply chain right from customer. So friends, put yourself as in the shoes of customer now, and I will take you through the journey of supply chain by putting you as a customer, or putting yourself in the shoes of customers. So now you start considering yourself as a customer in this supply chain journey. So let us take an example. It will be interesting. So let's say you have to purchase a mobile, whatever brand, whatever model you want to think on, just think. So you have to purchase a mobile. So what you will do, you will go with the information and cash, basically, or money, I would say, to purchase mobile. When I say information, it is all about what kind of model you want to purchase, what kind of brand. And when I say cash, it is all about your budget and whether you're going to pay through credit card or whether you're going to pay by cash or whatever it is. So that's the flow you will be taking to whom? You will be taking to retailer. So what kind of retailers are there in the market as on today? One is brick and mortar kind of model. That means you go to the shop and you identify whatever models you want to, and you select one of the models, and then you pay to the retailer and then purchase and bring it back the mobile. Other retail store model is basically virtual model, which is Amazon and Flipkart kind of model, where you go onto their site, which is again virtual retail store, and then select whatever you want as per your budget, your requirement, and then purchase it. And once you purchase it and share your information about your address, and then you pay maybe cash on delivery or pay in advance upfront, the product comes to you. That means it is the material flow to you. That means you receive the product. And when you receive the product, along with the product, there is also information flow. When I say information flow, you just recollect, or you must be experiencing whenever you purchase, you also receive invoice. So on the invoice, there are a lot many things about product, your name, mobile number, whatever it is. So that kind of information is also flowing along with the product. Whenever product you are purchasing through retail store, physically or through virtual market like Amazon or Flipkart. If the product is not available on Amazon or Flipkart, what happens? What happens next? Next thing happens that information goes to the next level, that there is a demand for this particular product. Maybe I want to purchase XYZ mobile, and now we are almost 50 plus members on this call, and we have to purchase this XYZ model from Amazon. Let's take an example of Amazon, and the stock is not available on that Amazon platform. Then what Amazon will do, they will go with that information that there is need of 50 XYZ model of mobile, 50 numbers, and they go to the warehouse or distribution center and they check whether the stock is available there. If the stock is not, they will check the stock is available. If the stock is available, again the warehouse or distribution center will send or who that particular product to the retail store. Maybe it is a brick or mortar kind of retail store or Amazon basically, or from Amazon platform, it will directly come to the customer. Again, if the stock is not available in the warehouse or in the distribution center, that information will flow back to whom? It will flow back to manufacturer. For example, if I have to purchase Samsung mobile, for example, it is not available in a retail store. It is not available in any of the distribution centers across India of Amazon or whoever is the no, retailer, basically or distributor of that particular model. It will go. This information will go back to manufacturer. That means, let's say Samsung, and what they will do, they will plan for producing that particular model in those kind of those quantities, basically on based on that demand. And for manufacturing, they will not manufacture themselves. They will. Okay, so before going ahead to the next channel, if the stocks are available at manufacturing center in their in-house warehouses, that material will flow back to warehouse or distribution center, and again it will be flown back to retailer, and then ultimately it will flow back to customer. If again the stock is not available at that manufacturing center with that original equipment manufacturer, they will they will they will assess that demand, and they will create that production plan, and with that production plan they will also go back to their various suppliers or vendors or distributors with the information flow, and then those suppliers will be manufacturing those components which will be sent back to again to manufacturing centers for assembly, and then again flowing it back to distribution center or retailer, and then ultimately to the customer. So in overall flow, you have always seen there is a cash flow, cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. That means whenever I am purchasing anything from anyone, I have to pay, and that's what is the cash flow. And when product is flowing from supplier to manufacturing centers to warehouse to retailer and customer, there is information which is flowing from this chain, which is from supplier to manufacturing centers to warehouse to retailer and then customer. And with this, you have also seen there is a material flow here. Material flow from customer to retailer to warehouse to manufacturing center, even to supplier. So what is this material flow which is happening, which is in reverse direction? So this material flow is for the products which once we receive the product and we find there is some fault, the product is damaged. In that case, we return the part or that product to, let's say, Amazon. We return it to that retail store, and then from there it goes back to distribution center, it goes back to manufacturer or supplier. And even there are some repair centers at those distribution centers or repair centers at manufacturers, and then they take actions to make that product again sellable to customers. And that's how you can see there is a reverse flow of the material in this supply chain. So friends, this is basically an orientation about supply chain. And when working in supply chain domain, these are the roles which are played by various teams, people or functions. Supply chain planning, vendor management, we have to work with vendors. When I say vendor management, it is not only about managing vendors, again developing vendors, developing new vendors for new product. So this is also one aspect of supply chain. Procurement, whenever you have to work with vendors, you have to also take actions on procurement. So it is also one of the functions in big large organizations, and not only in big large organizations, but even mid-scale organizations or even small-scale organizations. They also have this kind of dedicated function within supply chain management. Then there is inventory management. So throughout the chain of supply chain, when I talked about product, it is basically about the inventory which is flowing in forward direction, and it is also flowing into the reverse direction. And for that inventory management is very, very important. So just give you the sense on the inventory management. When I was working in Reliance, I was managing handset business for all India business, and that time I was managing inventory of almost ranging uh, between 300 to 400 crores all the times. So just register 300 to 400 crores and only one company like Reliance Communication that time. If you talk about Apple, if you talk about Tata, if you talk about any of the any FMCG kind of organization like Unilever, Procter and Gamble, you just see in how many thousands of crores of inventory they must be managing. And for that also there is a specific inventory management function in supply chain. Then logistics management. When I say logistics management, throughout the journey of this network of assets, warehousing, transportation of the products, transportation of the goods, MHE, which is basically material handling equipments and material handling management basically, is part of whole logistics management, and it is also one of the important veins of overall supply chain management. And then import and export. So import and export is also very important aspect when you are exporting your products or even importing your products. So in supply chain, import export function plays also very important and crucial part when you are working in global arena. So these are the roles basically played in supply chain. So I feel and I think that with this kind of explanation about supply chain, you should be having some better understanding or some understanding which you were not aware on supply chain. Okay, so with this slide, I will quickly move to the actors in supply chain. So who are those actors in any of the supply chain, in any of the industry or any of the organization? Basically transporters and shippers. So when we talk about transporters, so you always know transportation happens with this road transport, trucks and small vehicles. Then oil transportation happens through rail mode, shipping mode in containers or even air cargo. So these are one of the important actors in supply chain. Then warehousing firms. So they are also important in supply chain because they help us to stock. They help us to maintain the product as per the requirement or as per the shape or as per the dimensions or as per the condition which we would like to be. So these kind of warehouses are basically typical standard warehouses where we can keep non-hazardous kind of products or simple kind of products where we don't need any kind of refrigeration or refrigeration kind of product. For example, today we are talking about vaccination in pandemic situation. So we need cold storage. If you talk about the kind of product confectionaries or meat or vegetables, there you need cold storages, those kind of warehouses. So that is also one of the actor in supply chain. Import export, I just spoke about import export. Import export is also one of the important actors in supply chain. Material handling equipment service providers. The SPs is basically service providers. So to move the products or handle the products within warehouse, within manufacturing plants, these kind of material handling equipments plays very important role to move the equipments in safe mode. So this is also one of the actors in supply chain. Then third-party logistics service providers. So who are these third-party logistics service providers? So these are the service providers. For example, DHL. They are managing material handling equipment service providers. They are managing warehousing firms. They are managing transporters. They are managing shippers. DHL or UPS or FedEx or Blue Dart or any these kind of big organizations. They have their own ships. They have their own flights. They have their own cargo flights. Even they have their own trains to ship the products, and that's how they play important role as a third-party logistics service provider in supply chain. And then supply chain consultants. So they also play a very important role in the industry to set up right supply chain model for the organization. That means there are many organizations where they don't have those kind of skills, they don't want to have those kind of skills, that is not their core competency, and that's how they hire supply chain consultants to have right cost effective model for their organization. And this is the most important factor, human resources. So in supply chain or any of the functions in the industry, human resources plays very, very important and vital roles. So they are one of the, not one of the, they are the most critical success factor for any of the organizations, any of the functions in any of the organizations. Okay, so with this, I will move to the next and last slide, I would say, about supply chain. Supply chain is one of the most critical functions for success of any of the organizations. As we were, I was just sharing one example of Amazon and Flipkart basically as a virtual retail model. Friends, if you have to purchase, we took that example of XYZ mobile, if you purchase it from Amazon or if you purchase it from Flipkart, it is the same model which you are going to get, correct? Nothing is going to make difference, but for organization like Amazon or Flipkart, it is going to make huge difference if their supply chain is not effective, it is not efficient. When I say effective and efficient, cost effective, and it is not efficient, that means churning many transactions, serving many customers in their business. And if they don't, if they are not cost effective or they are not efficient, they are not scalable, they are not responsive, the business will go to any other partner or any other such kind of retailer. And that's how supply chain is one of the critical success factor of any of the organization. And friends, supply chain is trending. The way there are a lot of things are trending on social media, but in the industry, believe in me, friends, the kind of opportunities, the kind of growth I am seeing personally, there are two fields at present, which is data analytics or big data, and second is supply chain. So friends, supply chain is trending. So you can keep watch and you can keep eye on whatever happening in supply chain, and then you can start building those kind of competencies. Whenever you get an opportunity through campus or when you are into professional world and you get an opportunity to work in supply chain, don't say no to get into supply chain, because supply chain is trending as I said, and supply chain is the critical function for any of the organizations, and this function is now almost has become strategic function for any of the organization for make or break. When I say make or break, is all about success of that particular organization. So with this, friends, I would like to stop here and I would like to say bon voyage, happy journey to all of you. So over to you, Prasad sir, with this to take it forward. And that's what I just wanted to share with all of you based on my overall experience which I had so far.
Thank you, sir. Sir, there are some questions from attendees. So can I ask?
Yes, definitely.
Sir, so first question is that, does this pandemic affected to the recruitment process?
Does this pandemic affected
Affect to the recruitment process?
procurement process, I mean to say?
Yeah.
Yes, it has certainly affected, and it is again depending on which kind of industry you are into. So when you are talking about procurement, it is very generic, I would say. When you talk about procurement, for example, if I am into vehicle manufacturing kind of industry, that means if I am into Tata Motors or if I am into Mahindra and Mahindra, if I am into Volkswagen and this kind of industry, you all know that demand for vehicles has drastically came down during pandemic situation, and procurement for those kind of products, right from customer to end tire in the chain is affected. But other way around, it is negatively affected, I would say, when I say affected. And when I take example of other industry, for example, pharma industry or daily essential need kind of products like vegetables or even bread and butter, I would say, the demand has increased drastically. And for that, there is huge impact, positive impact on supply chain, and procurement is also, as we saw, procurement is also one part of supply chain. There is huge positive impact on procurement in these kind of essential products kind of industry. So there is negative impact as well as positive impact on procurement and supply chain anywhere in the world and everywhere in the world, I would say.
Sir, another is related to this. That is, what are the new strategies we should adopt in pandemic situation?
Is it relating to supply chain or it is in general again?
Sir, it is related to recruitment process.
Recruitment process or procurement? With the earlier question also, I thought it was about procurement, so I gave insights on. But sorry for that. I will again give answer to my initial to your initial question about recruitment. So recruitment, certainly there is impact on recruitment due to pandemic situation. Whatever organizations are thinking or working on their budgets are basically to remain in the market. They are focusing on their essentials. They are focusing on whatever is important for them at present. And that's how the budgets for recruitment or the budgets for any of the functions has drastically come down. So when I say recruitment has come down, it has come down, but organizations have become very selective. That means they are only focusing on key critical roles to hire people, and that's how there is bit negative impact on recruitment process. That's what I would say, because many of the organizations have stopped recruiting. They have even downsized the resources. Even they have deferred the plan to hire resources. I also know some of the organizations where they offered through campus, but then they held back actual recruitment process. So there is impact, but things are now improving. The kind of pandemic situation is easing now. The recruitment for resources is also improving, and pandemic situation has also created new opportunities, as I was just discussing about data analytics, or even the new requirements coming in essential kind of products in pharma industry. So in those kind of industries, recruitment process is certainly going in positive direction. I hope this addresses the first and second question.
Yes, sir. Sir, another is that which skills we need to learn as a mechanical engineer, considering changes in industries.
Okay, so when the question is about the skills for a mechanical engineer to get into industry, to remain in the industry, and to be ahead of the competition. Again, when we are seeing mechanical engineer, so you have to first, as we discussed in one of the slides, you have to set goal for yourself. So being a mechanical engineer, so I am also a mechanical engineer, but when I got into the industry, within 1 year, I thought that materials management, that time it used to call supply chain management, is the field where I can grow, I can do something. And then from that perspective, I started building the skills for myself. So this is my example, but I also know my lot many friends from my batch, my first friends. They wanted, being a mechanical engineer, they wanted to be in designing. They wanted to be in production. They wanted to be entrepreneur. And that's how they built those skills. The friends who wanted to set up their own industry, they they took experience in designing, they took experience, or they got themselves skilled in production, they got themselves skilled in people management, and then they actually actually arrive to their uh, result, or they reach to their goal what they wanted to. They set up their industry. That's how uh, I would suggest, when you are asking about skills, being a mechanical engineer, first you have to set up a goal for yourself. Where do you want to take your career? Where do you want to see yourself? And from that perspective, then you will start building all those skills which I just talked upon. Uh, your self-management skill, which is about personality trait, special knowledge skills, and basically about transferable skill. So that's how I would like to suggest the person who had questioned this to first set your goal and then start working on skills. Okay,
Yeah, sir. Sure, sir.
thank you.
So I think no question is left. So thanks, Rahul sir, for this exciting webinar and answering all those questions and clearing all the doubts of the students by sharing your personal experience and clearing all the points. So it will surely help us a lot. It was pleasure to have you with us. I will also thanks to Ms. Bhagesri ma'am and Sanjuni Alumni Association and the team SARC for successfully conduction of the webinar. So I will conclude this session and thank you to all participants.
Thank you for this opportunity to me to present to all of you, to share my experiences. And I would also like to thank Thakur sir as well as Prasad sir for this great initiative to connect our students or connect academics with the industry, so that they are prepared all the times when they get into industry. So I am very happy for this kind of initiatives, and I will also be very happy to contribute in any sense or in any capacity to these kind of initiatives. So thank you, Prasad sir, and thank you, Thakur sir,
Okay, thank you, Rahul.
for this initiative.
Sir, I think Shivam is having one question. I'll just unmute him. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Shivam, you can speak up now.
Sir, my question is in chat box. Actually, I want to ask that is the IoT or the blockchain will affect sudden effect on the supply chain? And if yes, then what will be that drastic change and how it will affect on whole supply chain management?
Yeah, Shivam, correct. Shivam, I think this is one of the, I would say it is great question. And if you are asking this question, that means you're also going through the scenarios around you, what is impacting, what is not impacting. Certainly, IoT and blockchain is going to impact supply chain. I would not say drastically, but gradually. Things are changing in the industry in various sectors. With this kind of IoT, I am also working on one of the projects on IoT, where we are developing one solution for our clients basically. And from supply chain point of view, I am involved. But this kind of IoT products are going to impact drastically in supply chain or on supply chain, basically on inventory management. Inventory management or inventories will come down drastically. one example is sharing from IoT point of view. So that's how there is going to be positive impact of IoT and even blockchain. So blockchain is basically about sharing the information end to end throughout the chain. And this blockchain will be helping to share big information, huge information, relevant information end to end chain, and take those actions or take those decisions or respond to the situation, to respond to the requirement very quickly, immediately. And that's how blockchain and IoT is going to impact in the chain. And from people perspective, resource perspective, human resource perspective, it is going to impact certainly, but it will also bring or it will also create new opportunity for all of us to upskill from whatever maybe we are doing as a transactional work. We will be working on knowledge based kind of things in future. And this is how any kind of automation, digital IoT, blockchain is taking out unproductive things from human being, and it is creating opportunities which will be human being to add value, to take decisions, to be focusing on more creative things which machines cannot do. So that's how it is going to impact. So Shivam, thanks for this question. I think it was,
Yes. Thank you so much, sir.
thank you. I hope I could address your question.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so anything, Pratik?
I think no
Okay.
question. Thanks a lot, sir, for giving such a wonderful session and delivering a session and clearing all the doubts about all the students. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. Have a good day ahead and have a great career ahead. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir. I request everyone that will conclude the session now. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Good day. Bye bye.